Ready to dive into Hyrule again. This time, it's a whole new perspective, though. You all wanted to know more about The Legend of Zelda. Echoes of Wisdom fans, we heard you. We've got 7 fresh reviews ready to unpack.
Yeah, the gaming community, they're going nuts for this one. It's a mixed bag out there for sure. We've got everything from best Zelda ever to, well, not so much.
So, is Echoes of Wisdom the next Tears of the Kingdom? Or just a fun romp while we wait for the real deal? The big question on everyone's mind. Does Zelda finally get to be the hero?
The million rupee question, right?
Yeah.
It's complicated, but honestly, that makes it even more interesting to unpack.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. One thing's for sure, though. Zelda's gameplay. Totally different this time around. Forget the Master Sword, this is all about magic and strategy. Oh, and, beds.
Yep, you heard that right. Beds are Hyrule's hottest item in this one.
Yeah.
And, well, not for the reason you might think.
Every single review mentions this bed mechanic. Please tell me it's as wild as it sounds.
Wilder. Way wilder. Think back to Tears of the Kingdom, all those crazy Ultra Hand builds. It's like that, but with magic echoes instead of, well, whatever Link was using to hold those things together.
Right. The echoes, that's the core of her power in Echoes of Wisdom.
Exactly. She can use those echoes to make, well, pretty much anything. From moblins to, yep, beds. And those beds, apparently they're multi-purpose. Bridges, stairs. One reviewer even used them to, get this, escape a collapsing temple.
Okay, that's amazing. And kind of hilarious. It's like classic Zelda problem solving, but with a Tears of the Kingdom twist.
And that's what makes this echo thing so cool. Classic Zelda, but with that open-ended creativity of Tears of the Kingdom. The critics are loving it, nostalgic, refreshing, just fun.
But what about combat? How does that work with the echoes? I'm seeing some mixed feelings about using summoned creatures to fight.
Right, it's definitely different from, Link just charging in sword first. Zelda's more of a strategist. Some reviewers thought it felt a little too hands-off, though.
Well, there is a sword fighter form. Zelda taps into Link's power.
Yeah, but it's limited, like a last resort kind of thing. And that's where things get interesting. Some critics, they thought it kind of took away from Zelda's unique playstyle. Like, her magic should be enough,
But others said it makes sense. It is a Zelda game, gotta have a little swordplay. Plus, that limited energy thing that forces you to think strategically.
Yeah, echoes or sword fighter bursts.
It's a tough choice, and that's a good thing. It makes you really think about how Zelda plays, her strengths and weaknesses. Makes her feel distinct.
Speaking of strengths, let's talk dungeons. Classic Zelda fans, I'm looking at you. Breath of the Wild, no dungeons, I know. Echoes of Wisdom, what's the deal?
Get those maps and compasses ready. Dungeons are back, baby. Echoes of Wisdom brings back all that puzzle solving, exploration, the good stuff.
Now that's what I want to hear. But are the puzzles, good? Or is it all just recycled stuff from, like, the NES days?
Now that's where the reviews start to differ. Some reviewers said the puzzles were a bit uninspired, but there's one thing that even the skeptics loved: waypoints.
Well, like in the dungeons? Yep. No more getting totally lost in some underground maze for hours. You can mark your path now. I should make those classic Zelda rage quits a thing of the past.
Don't remind me. But waypoints aside, the dungeons are designed around Zelda's echo magic.
Oh yeah, that's where it gets really cool. Picture this. You got to hit 2 pressure plates at the same time, but they're like miles apart. One reviewer used ice blocks and get this, a lanternfish. Solved it.
Now that is what I'm talking about. That perfect mix of old school Zelda with that. How did they even think of that kind of stuff from Tears of the Kingdom?
And the best part, that same creativity, it's in the world itself. You'll see those classic Hyrule spots.
Please tell me there's a Kuko chasing side quest. There's gotta be a Kuko chasing side quest.
Multiple, actually. But here's the thing. Yeah, the world looks familiar, but seeing it as Zelda, it's a whole new dimension.
Now that's something I'm curious about. I mean, we've been stuck with Link's perspective for years, the silent hero thing. But Zelda, she's got history with this world, with the people.
And you feel it in the writing. You see all the familiar faces. But their dialogue with Zelda, it's different.
Yeah.
More personal somehow. Even something like entering Gerudo Desert. Completely different now. No more Link in a dress. Zelda's got to prove herself on her own this time around. That's great.
It's like Hyrule's like welcoming her home or something. I love that.
Exactly. Hyrule's greatest hits, but, remixed for a new generation. And that whole old meets new thing. It's not just like a visual thing either. It's in how the game plays too.
Okay, now you've got to give me some examples. What else screams, this is Zelda, but make it 2024?
Okay. Remember in Breath of the Wild how they changed the equipment? You're like constantly finding new weapons, but they break all the time.
Yeah, stressful. Is this sword gonna break if I look at it wrong?
Right. Well, Echoes of Wisdom, it's more like curated.
Yeah.
Zelda has a few main outfits, but you get them from side quests, not just, finding them randomly.
Right.
And instead of the whole cooking thing, get ready for it. Smoothie shops.
Smoothie shops. Okay, now you're speaking my language.
It's potion making, but, Hyrule style. You mix monster bits with stuff you find, make these drinks that boost your stats, heal you, all that.
That's both adorable and kind of gross, knowing what usually goes into those potions. But smoothies aside, are there enough side quests to keep me busy? Asking for a friend who may or may not be completely obsessed with completing every single thing.
Oh, tons. And they're not those boring go here, collect 5 of these quests. You've got combat challenges, mini games, even scavenger hunts that lead to secret areas, like classic Zelda exploration, but more structured.
Something for everyone, then. Whether you've been playing Zelda since the gold cartridge days, or you're just here for Zelda finally getting her due.
That's what it sounds like. It's like they took a Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, threw in a little Tears of the Kingdom, maybe some lawn milk for good measure, and boom, Echoes of Wisdom.
There's got to be something totally unique, though, right? Something more than just mixing together all the best Zelda stuff.
Well, besides the whole playing as Zelda thing, which is huge, one thing everyone's talking about, the still world.
Ooh, okay, that sounds ominous.
Yeah.
And awesome. Is it some kind of like Twilight Realm situation or Lorule, but less purple?
Not really. It's a whole other dimension, and you can get there through these rifts that pop up all over Hyrule. Apparently the puzzles in the still world, next level, like the most innovative puzzles in the entire game.
So it's not just a spooky backdrop then, it's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah. You go there to get into dungeons, rescue those little tri-friends, and the puzzles there really make you use the echo mechanic in ways you wouldn't expect. Really cool stuff.
Give me an example. What kind of crazy puzzles are we talking?
Imagine, like, a landscape that's always shifting. Trees turn into bridges, you can move water around to make paths. It's like a surreal platformer where the rules are always changing.
That's amazing. Okay, now I have to ask. Is the still world just a one-time thing, or could it be hinting at something more, like a whole new direction for Zelda?
Right. That's the question, isn't it? A lot of the reviewers thought the still world could be like a test run for future games. Maybe even a whole Zelda game set in that dimension.
Okay, see? Nintendo, if you're listening, make it happen.
I'm very intrigued, that's for sure. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, there's this one detail from the reviews I gotta mention. It's not a gameplay thing or a location. It's a character. And his name, Conde.
Conde. I like the sound of this already. So is he a good guy, bad guy? What's the deal with Conde?
From what I can tell, he's one of those helpful acquaintance types. It's kind of vague, but he pops up in a few side quests. One reviewer even started a Conde for President campaign.
Okay, that's it. I need this game. Conde sounds like my spirit animal. But speaking of characters, let's get back to the star of the show. Zelda herself. These reviews, they all seem to hint at something more to her story this time around. Something deeper.
Yeah, you picked up on that too, huh? There's this recurring theme in the reviews. Echoes of Wisdom, it's as much about Zelda figuring herself out as it is about her saving the day.
Ooh, I like that. Tell me more.
Think about it. For years, Zelda's been the damsel, right? Wise, sure, but ultimately helpless, waiting for Link to swoop in and save her. But this game, no way.
Right. She's not just Link with a different haircut. She's got her own thing going on. Her own powers, her own way of solving problems.
And that's what makes Echoes of Wisdom so interesting. It makes you question the whole hero thing in a Zelda game. It's not all about how strong you are. It's about using your brain, getting creative. And hey, if you can use a bed to save the day, even better.
It's like a whole statement. Zelda breaking free from, like, expectations, not just Ganon. I'm here for it.
For real. And that whole breaking free thing, it goes even deeper. Some reviewers mention these little hints about Zelda's past, like there's more to her story than we think.
Okay, spill the tea. What kind of hints are we talking here?
Well, there's a lot of talk about Zelda awakening.
Yeah.
But it's not just her powers, you know? It's like she's tapping into something bigger, something ancient, something that's been asleep for ages, and now it's waking up.
Ooh, okay, now you have to give me an example.
One reviewer mentioned this scene, right? Zelda sees one of the enemies for the first time, and she has this flash, like she knows this creature, like she's met it before, maybe in another life. And then there are these whispers of a hidden lineage, a connection to the past that Zelda's just starting to uncover.
Okay, that's not just a hint. That's a whole plot twist waiting to happen. We're not just getting a new adventure here, we're getting a whole new understanding of Zelda. This is big.
Right. It really adds another layer to the whole experience. Echoes of Wisdom. It's a celebration of everything we love about Zelda, but it's also like breaking new ground. It's really exciting.
The perfect mix of nostalgia and innovation. But before we go crowning it the next big thing, we got to talk about performance. Some of the reviews mention some frame rate issues, especially in the overworld. Did you notice that at all? It's like those rumors about hidden levels in classic games, except here, it sounds like the whole lore of Zelda might have a secret layer.
Right. It really adds a whole other dimension to the experience. But as you pointed out, there are those pesky performance concerns.
Yeah, nobody wants a choppy frame rate interrupting their epic boss battle or mind-bending puzzle. How bad does it sound?
The good news is, it didn't seem to be a deal breaker. From what I gathered, Echoes of Wisdom uses the same engine as the Link's Awakening remake.
Which, while gorgeous, wasn't exactly known for running like a well-oiled cuckoo clock.
Exactly. Most reviewers mention some occasional stuttering, particularly around Hyrule Castle, where there's a lot going on visually. But it sounds more like a minor trade-off for that stunning, almost toy-like art style.
Okay, that's reassuring. As long as it doesn't make the game unplayable, I'm willing to forgive a few dropped frames, especially for a Hyrule that looks this good. But let's answer the big question. Should you play this game?
Based on these reviews, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But as with any good potion recipe or smoothie blend in this case, there are a few caveats.
Hit me with the disclaimers.
If you're expecting another Breath of the Wild in terms of scope and open-world freedom, you might be a tad disappointed. Echoes of Wisdom is definitely a more focused experience, harkening back to the classic linear Zelda structure.
So, dungeons and meticulously crafted puzzles are the main course, not just side dishes on a vast open-world buffet.
Precisely. And while the Echo mechanic is innovative and engaging, the combat might not be everyone's cup of lawn milk. If you crave that direct, action-heavy gameplay, you might find it a bit too strategic for your liking.
But for those craving a Zelda experience that bridges the gap between old and new, a game that not only lets you play as Zelda, but challenges your expectations of what a Zelda game can be.
Then Echoes of Wisdom is a must-play. It's a love letter to longtime fans, while simultaneously pushing the boundaries of the series in bold new directions.
And let's not forget, it finally lets us step into Zelda's boots. For many fans, that alone is worth the price of admission.
Absolutely. And from the sound of it, she doesn't just rise to the occasion, she surpasses it. This is Zelda's time to shine, and the critics seem to agree that she steals the show.
So there you have it, The Legend of Zelda. Echoes of Wisdom, a captivating blend of familiar and groundbreaking, charming and challenging, classic and undeniably modern.
A worthy addition to the Zelda legacy, and potentially a glimpse into a whole new era for the series.
And as we close the book on this deep dive, or should we say the Sheikah slate, we leave you with this. If Zelda's story is just beginning, what other secrets lie hidden beneath the surface of Hyrule, just waiting to be unearthed?
Only one way to find out. Pick up that Triwand, embrace the echoes of the past, and embark on your own adventure. You never know what you might discover.